Is it morning, afternoon? It's just stroke afternoon. Dan, how you doing? You all right?
Very good. How are you?
Yeah, listen, thank you so much for coming on Raw Ambition.
Pleasure.
It's first time we've met, isn't it?
It certainly is. I've heard lots about you from the studio, guys. But
All right, brilliant. Excellent. Well, likewise, I'm actually a big fan of your podcast, to be fair.
Thank you.
And obviously, a lot of your journey I've been following for quite some years, so really this is a great pleasure.
Thank you.
Whilst before obviously we kick this off for the viewers, why don't you introduce yourself? Who are you? What do you do? And how are you known?
Yeah, so Daniel Hill, been in business since I was 15. Started, scaled, bought and sold over 40 companies. Had small lifestyle businesses, small teams, low overheads, high margins. Had national, international, multi-million-pound organisations. Over the started in construction on the buildings at age 15. Realised after about 5-6 years that was not the lifestyle for me. Went to university, learned how to build business, put the two together, went into property in 2011. Since then, done over £100 million worth of deals, built a portfolio of companies up in property. Was fortunate enough to get Young Entrepreneur of the Year in 2000 and, I don't know, I'm getting old now, 2013. And then I was fortunate enough to win Entrepreneur of the Year in 2018. And PPN UK is the group that I now run. I'm the chairman of. And we have an investment company, which is my family office, where we build portfolios for high net worth individuals, specifically using our funds and our families' money. We have a development company where we do high density property developments. We have an education company called Property Entrepreneur, where we train 200 of our members a year how to start, systemize, scale and sell any business in property. And we have a charity, and I started that in 2018. And my plan was to donate £1 million by my 40th birthday, and we're on target to do that. So next year we should hit £1 million raised and donated to charities all around the world for various bits and pieces.
Wow.
So yeah, that's at the highest level. That's it.
You've literally just unloaded like a lifespan of achievements there. I mean, firstly, congrats. Wow.
Thank you, mate.
That's impressive. Dare I ask how old are you now then?
39. So
you're 39?
I'm 40 in September.
Oh, we're very similar age.
Okay, great. Well, you look significantly younger than me, so you've
obviously,
you need to give me some of your moisturiser.
I'm going to say it the other way. I'm getting a few wrinkles up here.
I've got plenty of them. Yeah.
Oh, snap. So I'm 40 in July this year.
Okay, great. Any life-changing realisations approaching 40? You look great for 40, by the way.
I think I suffered a catastrophic injury where I was given a bit of a shock to the system. I was given a 30% chance of survival in an operation that I ended up having to have, and it kind of shook that was like 3 years ago, to be fair. But it kind of shook my trajectory, what we were building, why we were building it, and it kind of gave me a bit of a rattle. And, that kind of changed my course. For the better, obviously. But anyway, we're not here to rant on about me just yet. I'm sure we can get to that another day. But cool. I'm really curious on how you have become who you are today and how you've done it, right? So you mentioned 15-year-old starting on building sites. What did that look like?
Basically labouring. So I started my first business when I was 14, Pulse Discos, still going today, mobile disco company. And then that was I was at school during the week. I was doing the DJing in the evenings and weekends. And then I started, between both of those, working on the buildings as a labourer. Started doing that for a couple of years. Then I started doing hod carrying. Then I did dry lining, then roofing, then floor screeding, which is basically like community service for adults.
These are all hard, laborious jobs, these.
Yeah, a slog. And then, I really figured out then the harder you work, the more you get paid, right? So we was always on price work. So price work. We were like, if we were laying floors, it'd be like, how many meters could you get down? So we'd be there at 4 a.m. We'd finish, at a reasonable time. But we would just, I was earning, as like an 18, 19-year-old, I was probably earning £700-800 a week, which is like, even today's money, that's good money, right? Back then it was ridiculous. Like, you couldn't believe you could earn so much money. But you know what floor screening's like? It's a terrible lifestyle. I would shovel 20 ton of sand a day into a pump. That would for 8 hours, and that's this is before like podcasts and iTunes and earpods. You would just stand in the sun with your head and your hangover and just shovel sand. So it taught me hard graft, right? So that's how I started.
That trade in itself, and I equally come from a construction background, so a lot of my earlier subscribers will relate to this. You know, that is a tremendously hard job, and you are at the mercy of the layer. You know, if they're screaming at you and no gear, you have got to shovel from the pile into hopper, get it mixed up, and then get it out and get it screed.
I don't even know if it's like legally you're allowed to do manual mixing screed anymore. I think everyone does like post mix or like pre mix.
No, I can assure you, it still gets done by. I mean, look, when you're developing, we get it dropped off, but then you're shifting it from the pile into the barrows into the house.
Yeah.
You know, if you're doing a dry mix and whatnot. But yeah, it's tough going.
It's a slog.
So, you were 15-year-old.
Well, I was 15-year-old when I started labouring, and then I was on the buildings until I was maybe 20, like early 20s, maybe like 23, 24.
I mean, back then, the health and safety stuff, it weren't like what it is today. And, you know, you could top off in the sun, getting a good tan, moving the gear, radio blasting out. It's a bit different on building sites today. And I think, I'm grateful to have moved away from that into a bit more of a, what we're doing now, leaving the graft to the lads, because, they love it. But you were 15, right? That today, in today's sort of money, that's still GCSE territory.
Mate, I look at the younger, in the podcast I just did before this, I was talking about the younger generation. I can't believe it's visible how soft, how slow. I think because we're living older, I don't know if it's because, but I notice we're living older, and also I think the younger generation are growing up slower. I've got people in my family who are like approaching their teenage years, and they like, there's one person I can think of who's actually still got a teddy, and I'm like, wow. At like 13, I was making money. I had jobs from like, I had 3 paper rounds at 11.
Yeah.
And I just think I see the younger generation coming up, and I just think maybe they've got it easier, which is maybe a good thing. But I was just always, and so were a lot of my mates, to be honest. We were like we would work our backsides off. We'd get up at 4 a.m, and drive to Norwich to like shovel sand.
Really?
Yeah, I've always had a high work ethic, but I think it was culturally as well.
Let's have a look at that, because you're absolutely right. I think that culturally, the UK is a different landscape to what it was back then. And I can relate.
Do you think
to
it
this.
is? Yeah.
Absolutely, massively. What did early life look like? So let's go right back to the very beginning. Where were you born?
Bedford Hospital, Bedford.
And family life looked like mum, dad, brothers, sisters?
Grew up with my mum and dad married. They separated when I was 7. Younger brother, 18 months younger than me. Great parents, didn't want to spend their lives together, went in completely different directions, which is absolutely fine. My dad was very professional, driven, career focused. My mum was very home focused, love, just enjoy your life, be a good person, things like that. And because I was like man of the house, oldest son, literally the man of the house, we had very humble beginnings, if you like. And if you know Bedford, it's not the best place in the world. And I remember having a red phone bill on the notice board that my mum had, and to her it was nothing, it was just a red phone bill. But to me, I was like, we're going to get evicted, we're going to be cut off, and I just felt this urgency that I had to get out there and make money. And I genuinely had. I did the Times and Citizen on a Friday, I did the Beds on Sunday on a Sunday, I did the daily paper 7 days a week, and that was from the age of maybe like 11. And before that, I worked at the middle school, and I used to take a screwdriver and take the feet off the chairs, anything for money. I worked for the caretaker doing that. And
so wait there, you paper round. I need to ask this question.
Yeah.
Did you have a bike or did you walk it?
Both. There's some of the rounds I could do on a bike if it was like a big distance, but the Times and Citizen or the Beds on Sunday.
Was that to every house?
Goes to every house. There's no point having a bike. Yeah, it would be a trolley. Yeah.
That's a stack of 250 papers, pulling it, and every house one in.
Yeah,
minding
5,
the dogs.
6 in the morning.
Don't you think we've lost those skills today as kids?
I think we've lost the work ethic or the drive or whatever it is.
Hasn't it been removed from them? I mean, this is, again, a separate conversation, but you chose to have a paper round to go and get money. How old was you when you saw that red bill on the wall?
Probably, maybe, I don't know, 9, 10?
How old were you when you got your first paper round?
Pretty similar age. Yeah, it probably coincided. I only know that because I got hypnotised in COVID. I had a real internal dispute with my work ethic because I'd made my money, I'd won the awards, but I just couldn't stop working. I was an addict. I was just like, I'd feel bad if I wasn't working. So I got hypnotised, and they get you to walk down the staircase of being a child, and they said and they take you through this like trance thing, And it was basically, it came out that the reason I've got a high work ethic, one was because I saw the red phone bill and realised I needed to make some money. And my dad, when I was a kid, paid me for a good school report. He gave me like £5. And he said, every year you get a good school report, I'll double it. So next year you'll get £10. And what it meant was, if I work hard, I'll get money, and I need money to help my mum. And that just became my, like, you know, standard operation for 20 years.
So you had, assuming now you and your brother lived with mum.
Yeah.
And did dad live far away?
No, see him every weekend, like all harmonious.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he supported the house. And we weren't by any means like poor.
Yeah.
But we lived in a small house in an average area with a red phone bill. It was like, it just was what it was. We didn't care.
What was life like back then? So obviously, are you still sort of like 7, 9-year-old, whatever?
I was banging. Yeah, I used to love it. I used to trade Pogs and Slammers. Do you remember Pogs and Slammers?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
I used to have a briefcase I go to school with. I'd win the Pogs and Slammers off people. I'd sell them back to them for money, and then I'd win them back off them. I used to win Go-Go's. Do you remember Go-Go's?
Yeah,
do you remember
it's all coming back now, yeah.
Yeah, oh, mate, honestly, it feels like yesterday. All of that. School to me was just like businesses now, really. I feel like it's a journey, and whether it was like meeting girls, dating girls, making money, just really constantly progressing. And I've always, up until maybe like 30, 35, I always wanted to have everything young. So I wanted to be like, oh wow, Dan's got his first Mercedes in his first house and he's only 20, or he's got his first Mercedes and he's only 25, he's got his first Rolls Royce and he's only 30. I always wanted to I always wanted to be doing it quick, do you know what I mean? Whereas now I'm the other way. Now I'm like nearly 40. I'm like, I've got the metabolic age of a 28-year-old. I probably look like a 39-year-old, but I now want to try and go backwards, sort of thing, which is strange, isn't it? You wish your life away, or I don't know.
I know exactly what you mean, though. And I can remember the Spinny Ginnies, the Conkers, all of it. Life was great back then. There were no iPhones or anything like that. And I think life was much happier back then because you found your fun.
Yeah, I used to skateboard. Yeah. We would like make ramps. But then I suppose some of that's being a kid. Like I look at my daughter who's nearly 2, and she's just so happy. Like she doesn't have the weight of the world on her shoulders. Like we can easily carry, right?
Yeah.
And also I think, I don't know what it's happened in the last 10 years. I think it's probably like cheap dopamine, social media, iPhone. Everyone is just a bit anxious, myself included. Like there's just this anxiety that sort of...
It's like there's a big rush right now, like you've got to be quick.
Yeah,
there's something there. But, right, okay, so we're 7, 9-year-old, life's looking great. You started to go into the world of work by getting a paper round, or several. I remember having I think it was the Courier we had. Yeah. And it was like 250 papers. You had to put all the adverts in. So we did that as a family.
I remember that. Yeah.
And then once you stacked them all up, you went out individually. God, that was a tough gig, that, because again, putting the papers, the hands, how you felt after about 1 or 2, you're all right. But by the time you've done 100, your hands are... And then opening letterboxes, getting caught on your fingers with letterbox, slamming on your fingers, some dogs that you had to miss. It was... But great experience builders. So you've done that, but then you've also had the one on the bike. That's a different paper around that.
Yeah, it's a shift.
20, yeah, you've got to be up now because it's before school, right?
Yeah, when someone calls in sick, I would never call it. I don't think I ever once called in sick. And if someone called in sick, I would do my own paper round, then I'd do theirs. Yeah, because I'd earned enough for £8 or whatever it was. And then I worked in the shop as well from the people who did the paper round. I became like really pally with them. And I used to stock the shelves and all sorts.
So you're now going into your early sort of like exams, GCSEs and whatnot. What did you want to be at that? Did you have any ambition in life to be anything? Or were we just living it day by day?
Whatever was popular at the time, I was like onto. So like when it was like dating girls, I would do whatever I needed to do to be like top of the pile, date the hot girls. When it was come to earning money, I would do the 3 paper rounds. When it became cool to be a DJ, I was the DJ and I did all the school discos and the birthdays. When it was cool for raving, I would be at the raves. My mates would be the ones DJing. We'd have the rigs and stuff. When it was come to working, I worked 7 days a week at Safari Park. I had worked on the buildings. I had my own DJ company. Whatever it was that was like the thing to be... I always say this like half tongue-in-cheek, but I think it was actually legit. Is like, because I'm not like your stereotypical good-looking guy, I don't look like what you would normally say, like, oh, that's a handsome chap.
Tall, dark and handsome.
Yeah, I'm not tall, dark and handsome. I'm like short, chubby at times and ginger.
You're definitely not chubby.
yeah, okay, maybe not chubby at the minute, but I didn't pull that lever, so I just pulled the successful lever. So whatever it was to be, 50 Cent's got a great quote, and he says, in order for a man to be as appealing in a woman's eyes as a beautiful woman is to a man, he needs to be publicly successful. And I think that really actually worked for me as a male. Is like I just always found what is the thing I need to pull to get what I want, if you like. Sometimes it was work, sometimes it was popularity, sometimes it was money, sometimes it was status. And as you get older, you realise it's all a load of rubbish anyway. You buy the supercar because you think the women are going to love it. And actually, the only thing it attracts is like 14-year-old boys and 50-year-old men in Tesco's car parks. It's like a load of it's a load of rubbish anyway. But yeah, I think that was my journey really. And then I decided to hit on business when I was to go all in on business when I was about maybe 16.
Really? So that's a big jump. You had no big like, I want to be a firefighter or I want to be a doctor. There were none of that ambition.
I thought I should be a solicitor. I thought I should be a solicitor. My careers officer thought I should be a solicitor just because I was naturally quite intelligent. But I have naturally gravitated towards being able to learn and retain information. But I didn't really enjoy that. You know, at that age, I don't know how much you do know about what you want to be. But as soon as I realised what business was, I wanted to be an entrepreneur.
What were you like at school?
So I flirted the line as close as you can get between academically, I was like an A-star student, but I wore a cap, I didn't wear a tie, I was smoking behind the bike sheds, I was up to all sorts. So I just flirted this line of like, I was cool kid and popular and like did all the naughty stuff, but then also I was like on the school council. I was like in the pocket of my head of year and my tutor. They would always look out for me because I was doing them a favour, you know, I was doing the school prom, the disco, organising the council, so I just played that line of trying to have my cake and eat it. And to be fair, with the exception of maybe one or two times when I crossed the line, it was effective.
I think they've played that line really well then, because it can be perceived differently today, you know, because of the influence and things like that. But to be a grade A student, that's not just school life, that's home life as well. There's some disciplines in there, isn't there? There's got to be. Why were you such a good grade A student, but having the knowledge and the know-how to be with the lads, the cool guy?
Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, don't know. And when I look back, I wouldn't say what I thought was cool at the time. I wouldn't. I look back and cringe at some of those earlier years because, like, yeah, I just don't necessarily look back at it that aspirationally. I don't know what did I do. Honestly, I think what I've always done is I've always wanted to achieve, and sometimes it's for myself because I'll have a target I want to do, but a lot of the time, especially in my younger years, it was to prove that I can do it, or it was like to prove it to other people, or it was to earn what you get when you do it, whether it was a medal or a paycheck or recognition or, you know, whatever, the pay rise, the job, the girl. It was that, and again it worked and it was effective. Yeah, that was probably that.
I know exactly what you mean, because when I first started out in business, I mean my journey is a little bit different. I think my last job, I was 19, I think. You know, I was an apprentice, shop fitter, not lifter, shop fitter.
Yeah.
and our game was meticulous. It was quality. Everything was like making bars, back fittings, doors, you know, you name it, we made it. We was very meticulous. Any kind of Costa coffee, all the backdrops and all the bars, we used to make all them. Brilliant. And we had a work ethic. We were different. We'd work all the way through. But I remembered I wanted to just progress in my career, and I worked my way up, and I did a bit of they call it brown nosing if you want. I just did everything that my gaffers needed me to do, but I was equally trying to be one of the lads as well. It was you're towing the line a little bit, and I remember it came to it. I wanted to get my studies, and I went back to college to get my HNC, and the gaffer at the time, he said, you need to get back to college, back to work, leave college now, because the boss ain't happy. I says, what are you about? I'm going to college, that's why I'm here. Like, you know I'm going to college. And he went, no, you need to come back. So I had to leave college. The better man had only just started this course. I had to leave. And when I got through to Gaffer, he says, look, boss, you need to go have a chat. I was like, well, I'll pay for it myself if I have to, and I'll take the day off work. He says, no, we need you to do this. I was like, yeah, but he says, listen, you're a shop fitter. You'll always be a shop fitter. Get back out on the floor. And I thought, wow. And in that moment, I left. But I remember I went self-employed. And at the time, don't ask me why, I don't know. But you'll be able to relate to this. At the age of 35, don't know why I plucked that age out of my head, but I said, I'll be a millionaire by the age of 35. And I realised how naive I was looking back, because I had no substance to warrant even doing that. It was just a statement kind of thing. So I know exactly what you're saying. Did you ever feel that you wanted to beat yourself or set a target and prove to yourself? Did you ever feel like that?
A lot of my growth and discipline and progression has been based on my own scripts of how I think the world works. And what I've come to learn as I'm older is actually nobody gives a shit. Nobody cares. Like, nobody actually is sitting at home thinking about you. Whether you do or you don't, nobody actually cares. But in my head, it was life or death. And I look at some of my friends now who are still really competitive, and to them, it's life and death. Like, they think the world's looking at them as heroes because they do developments that are this big, or they, whatever, break records in X, Y, Z. To them, it's significant. But actually, nobody really cares. Nobody's thinking about them. I used to think like that all the time until I'd done it enough times where I'd broken records or won the awards or had the success, and actually it didn't give me any extra. The first time when I won Young Entrepreneur of the Year, I was obsessed with it for about 7 years. One of the guys who was ahead of me, a guy called Kauser, won it, and I remember chatting to him once, and I walked him to his car, and he had a Mercedes, and he pressed the button and the boot lifted up, and I was like, I so badly want to be you. I so badly want to have what you've got, and I so badly want to win that award. And for 7 years, I obsessed over it.
How old was you at the time when you won it?
Well, I won the last year you could win it was 25, and I won it when I was 25. So that, I know, was it? Yeah, I was probably like 19, 20.
Wow.
Yeah, 19. I would have been 19 when I met him. So it's 6 years that I was like obsessed over it. But to me, it was life and death. And then when I won it, I was like literally gobsmacked. I couldn't believe it. And I won it, fumbled through my speech. There's a great video on YouTube of me like getting the award. It was like, I loved it. It was a night.
We're going to do a thing here because I did exactly the same.
And then I walked off stage. And then the second I walked off stage, I was like, oh, is that it? I was like, I thought the world was going to change. I thought I was going to be a hero or whatever. And I went and had some beers and like partied. And then the next day it was just another day at the office. But I've still got my 2 awards. And I think we forget. It's like when you watch Conor McGregor, who won like the 2 awards. In the heat of battle, and at the time, it was like we was watching him and it was everything, right? Whereas now, I mean, he's taken some wrong turns, but it's the romance and the reality are very different.
I think there's got to be some correlation between how you handle success or if success handles you. There's got to be some direct correlation with that. But all right, let's go back then. We've jumped a couple of steps here. So cool. You've now. What did you do? Did you do your GCSEs? Did you finish them?
Yeah, finished
grade
GCSEs,
A student.
Yeah. I got 1 A star. So I got 1 A star. I got 1 A star, 5 A's, 3 B's, a C, a D, and an E. I can't even remember what they were for.
Did you remember getting a Burgundy Record of Achievement file?
Yeah. Still got it. Yeah, National Record of Achievement. Yeah.
When was the last time you saw it?
When I moved house and accidentally threw it in a skip, and then jumped in the skip to get it, because I thought, I don't know how tits up things can go. I might need that one day. I might be applying for a job.
I love that. Do you know what?
Did anyone ever ask you for your National Record of Achievement? Does it even exist anymore?
No, I don't think. Surely not. The world's woken up to it. But again, my story. I talk about this. I've just been writing a book, and I talk about it in there. How we were all conditioned back then, and it's different. It was different back then to what it is now. But it was drilled into you. Yeah, I mean,
back in the day,
it was drilled into you that you need this because this will stay with you for the rest of your life. Yeah. Get your grades; they're so important. Did you get your grades and then go to university? Did you go with the advice to be a solicitor? What did you do from there?
I did GCSEs and then I did A levels. And while I was doing the A levels at the sixth form, I had the mobile disco company and I was on the buildings and I was a floor screeder. So I was literally 7 days a week just spinning plates. And then after I got my A levels, I got a double A in business and a B in economics. I then went to university and studied business.
And what was it like then with mum at home? Because obviously that red bill was there. Did you manage to remove it? Were you supporting mum financially? How did that work?
Well, when I was at university, I was coming back in the holidays to still floor screed. So I was at university still coming back to floor screed in the holidays. And my mum said to me one day, I was sitting in the kitchen and I'd like jumped on the unit sitting there and I was like exhausted, hadn't stopped for months. And she said, like, why are you breaking your neck? Like, why are you killing yourself? Why don't you just like chill out and relax and enjoy your life a bit? I said, she said, like, why are you working so hard? I said, because I want to make enough money to support you. She was like, I don't want your money. I've never wanted your money. I just want you to be happy. And I was like, wow, you could have told me that like 10 years ago. And that was legit. That actually, and it was a little bit of a game-changing moment in the fact that I realised she actually didn't want anything. And to be fair, until recent years where I've probably forced it on her to make her life genuinely more comfortable, easier, letting her use things like my car, my chauffeur, like things where it genuinely adds value to her life, and I've helped her buy a house and stuff like that. Until recent years, she never took a penny off me. Like wouldn't take rent, wouldn't take anything off. No.
Let's go back to that moment when she told you,
yeah,
I've never wanted your money. How did that make you feel?
To be honest, I was too far gone then. I was already wired. I was addicted. Like it was like, I mean, I'm very stoic. It was like, oh right, well that was actually really strange. But then, I mean, to be fair, without dramatising it, it wasn't a big thing. It was like an interesting realisation, and it probably impacted me a bit at the time and made some decisions. But I don't look back now, and it was like, wow, I've wasted 10 years. I think what I had was the desire to help my mum, and I had the expectations that I wanted to please my dad. And whilst both of those put me under a lot of pressure at the time, like at one point I was actually like really ill. I had glandular fever, and I had glandular fever and I didn't know. And I was doing my dissertation, my last year at uni. I just started a new business and I was floor screeding. And basically I started hallucinating. Went to my granddad, sitting there on the sofa, hallucinating. His like face came off of his body and was like floating in the middle of the room. I was like, I'm really not very well. And I thought it was burnt out. And he said, you need to go to hospital. I went to hospital. They did a blood test. And they said, oh, you're just getting over glandular fever. And I said, oh, right, what do I need to do? And they said, well, it's too late. Really, you should have spent the last 6 weeks in bed and not moved. And I was doing like 16, 17, 18-hour days, including floor screeding, running a business and doing a degree. And for 2 years, I ended up with a thing called antiviral disassociation, which means like I could be in the middle of a day and I would just randomly start hallucinating. I'd have out-of-body experiences. And that was because of my work ethic, because I had all that pressure to do it. Discounting even things like that, I still don't look back and regret it or feel bad about it. I'm just grateful. I'm proud. I love what I do. And I think the biggest thing that I've realised since I've had a daughter is I'm really proud of myself. I think for years I was never proud of myself. It was never good enough. Like my missus says I'm like one of the most disciplined people she knows. I don't even think I'm disciplined, because when, you know, I might have a beer at the weekend, or like, you know, I'll do things, and to me that means I'm not disciplined. But she's like, you're ridiculously disciplined. And I think the thing now is I'm really proud of who I am and what I can do and who I help. And I think that as a man specifically is really important. Like, I think you need to be proud of yourself, and that's taken me a long time to get there. And most recently, that's like one of the things I think is most rewarding about that whole journey.
So at that time, though, I know exactly what you're saying. It's as if not hard done by, but you're like, all right, shrug it off and move it forward. Well, you did have those feelings. Was there any kind of, you were doing what you were doing for mum and dad, for their, not for them as such, but was you feeling, I want to prove it to them, I want to, you know what I mean? Where was the drive? Because you weren't, was you actively spending on yourself at the time, or? You know
I've never, until recent years, till I bought the Hall and the Rolls Royce and stuff like that. And that was probably another wrong step, to be honest. I did it in my 20s when I bought a supercar and lived in a penthouse. And then after that, I lived in a narrowboat for 2 years, because it's seductive. When you've got everything and you want for nothing, you search for like, what's going to make me happy. And once you've had the cars and the house, you realise none of that is going to make you happy. Like, that's an external scorecard that might as well be burnt, because it's a liability rather than an asset. But I would say I used to be very competitive. I would go to bed in a family car game if I lost. I'd be like, I'm not playing anymore, and I would sulk and go to bed. Nowadays, I honestly couldn't care less. Like, I play golf with the board every week or every month, and I just treat it like steps now. I just bang a few balls. I honestly couldn't care. I'm past competing.
Hey, really good at golf?
No, I'm terrible. I just enjoy the steps. I mean, I say I'm terrible. I'm reasonable, but nothing. I'm just there for the social. But I remember when I was younger, I would run on a treadmill when I wanted to break a record of. I did a property course with Simon Zucci, and the record holder before that was Gavin Barry, and he had a record. He got an award when I was introduced to the program for the most amount of money made in 1 year. And when I did the program, I was like, I've got to break his record. And I used to run on a treadmill, visioning in my head, I'm going to beat him. Like, I'm going to outrun you on this treadmill. I'm going to outdo you on this record. And it was in my head. I was obsessed with it. Same as making my dad proud. I always thought I wasn't making him proud, and I needed to work harder, and I needed to do bigger things. And the reality is, especially when he got older and he got ill, like the reality was he never wanted, he just wanted me to be happy. There's a great chapter in The Way of the Superior Man book. And it says the sad thing about a man's relationship with his father is he'll never be free until he dies. The young man will never be free until he dies. And he says, and the even sadder thing is that the realisation then is it was never the dad's expectation of the son that got him to where it was. It was the dad's expectation of what he thought the dad's expectation was on the son. And actually the dad just wanted, in most cases, just wanted them to be happy. And I think that's really interesting. But there's another quote as well which says, talking a lot about dads and sons, but it says there's only one man on the planet that wants you to be better than him, and that's your dad. And I just think that is like a really powerful thing to understand when somebody actually wants you to be better than they were. And when you understand as a man what it's like to be a success or a leader or top of the pile, I think all that sort of stuff's quite powerful. And I never realised that until recent years. Before that, I was just very, very driven, I think.
So did you find out if you made your dad proud?
Yeah, I think when he actually died, and in his speech I said, like, all I ever wanted to do was like make him proud. Everyone came up to me afterwards. Obviously, it was a circumstance where you'd think people would say things anyway, but they genuinely were like, yeah, you 100% made your dad proud. But then in like the last 3 to 5 years, when we really started to get a good friend, I never told my dad I loved him until I was 30. We didn't say, love your dad, love your son, anything like that, because it was just very high performance, not functional. It was very professional. And we were business partners as well. We built a business together as well. He came into property with me in 2011 when I started investing because he wanted to do it with his dad. So we went on that journey together, which was just amazing. But it did mean it was more of a working partnership and relationship than a traditional, dads go play football or whatever. But I wouldn't trade it for anything. It was amazing. I loved it. I'm very grateful for it.
What was the dynamic like there? Because it's difficult, isn't it? Father-son business partners. There's tough conversations to be had. But was you looking at your dad like, why are you talking to me like this? I'm your son.
I think there was a lot of pressure, and we both put each other under pressure and tension because he's a steel profile, so he's very detail and very data. I'm like quite dynamo, very like high frequency thinker, optimistic, and we'd often have big debates, which would they wouldn't be enjoyable, but they were just necessary, and we both wanted to say our piece. But then afterwards, the meeting was over. We'd walk out, we'd have a beer, we'd chat, we'd laugh. It was great. I think it was grand. And yeah, I wouldn't trade it. If I hadn't have done that with my dad, I don't think I would have had a very close relationship with him. It would have been quite transactional. But because our business was every single one of my family and friends worked for the business at some point. And I think that was probably like some of the best years that I loved, really.
I think there's a question I've got to ask you.
Yeah, sure.
A lot of people who are not in business ask this question. I work with my family as well, so I know the deep down answer. Should you mix business with family?
I think there's levels to the game, and we talk about band of brothers, which is level 1, which is like your friends, your family, your next door neighbour, anyone who you can convince to come and work for you works for you. And that actually was my favourite chapter. Like, my house was the office. We worked 7 days a week. We worked together. We socialised together. We drank together. And it was literally amazing. I would go back to that and relive it gladly. If that was the only chapter I could live over and over again for the rest of my life, I'd be very happy. It wasn't as lucrative as it could be. It wasn't as balanced, but it was phenomenal. We were all on a journey together. It was great fun, and we loved it. It worked then. The problem then is when you start to scale and actually the requirement of the business exceeds the ability of the team, and you have to bring in the next level, like the dream team. I remember having an office, and on one desk I had my mates in their T-shirts and trainers smoking vapes at their desk, and then on the other desk I had a professional wearing a suit who came in at 8:30, had an hour for lunch, left at 5:30, 4 weeks holiday, and it was just this really awkward dynamic for like 2 years. We call it shedding the skin now, where really to step change you have to say goodbye to all the fun stuff that got you started, and instead swap it for the things that you need to let the business scale. And that is the dynamic. Same as partners, husbands and wives, should they work together. I've had those dynamics and it never worked for me. I've sat on boards of relationships, and in the main I've always advised against it. But the two people that I know that went against my advice and did it actually had a fantastic experience. So I think there's a lot of, I don't think there's a black and white answer, but there's a possible upside, but in most cases there's guaranteed downside. And I think that's the problem. I've had relationships in my friendship group and family that have been significantly impacted and damaged by the journey of entrepreneurship and business. And yes, they all came back round and everyone's forgiven and we all got over it, but it doesn't hurt. It doesn't help that you do lose 3 to 5 years, in some cases a lifetime, of what would otherwise have been a good friendship because you ruin it with business.
Yeah, I think you've just literally just repeated or regurgitated anything I would have said there. I think there's a lot of stigmas that need to be squashed ultimately. But when it comes to, and I remember walking off the stage, I just won Entrepreneur Year.
Congrats.
And no thanks. And Stephen Mullen was presenting it. And again, there's a YouTube clip. It's so cringe. It's so embarrassing. I remember being there with John, and it was my coach at the time. And we was having a skinful. We was just enjoying being there, with the community. And there were a lot, there were thousands of people there. And because we didn't enter the awards, there was no need to worry too much. We were just, celebrating everyone's wins. And when my name got announced, his ears pricked up, eyes pricked up. I thought, oh, is that my name? When I looked over my shoulder and it were. Anyway, I found out I'd won. Everyone erupted. It went crazy. And I walked up and John put his arm around me and says, you ready for your speech? I'm like, oh, no. And I completely fumbled it. It's on YouTube and I just had no idea what to say. But I remember walking off and exactly like you just said, the next day it was like the norm, like it never happened. Like a pointless endeavour. It was weird. But I remember thinking, what got me here, people will never realise. The sleepless nights, the endless graft, the 24/7 operation. And you think, not only have I affected my own body and everything around what I've done, I've affected a lot of other people who've been on my journey with me, friends, family, things like that. And I remember actually joking to myself, and I've said it to the team. I've said, if you're thinking about becoming an entrepreneur, if you're not prepared for this lifestyle, don't. Because I think it's got to be the way of a person. It's not necessarily a job title. You're either an entrepreneur and it is embedded within you, or you're not. And I think this is what I want to explore a journey. You've spoke a hell of a lot about how you are and who you are, and it's quite interesting to hear you talk. Are you obsessed, or are you just motivated? How would you describe yourself?
When I was younger, definitely obsessed. Like, it was life and death. I would work 24 hours a day. I would only go to sleep because I couldn't keep my eyes open. I was obsessed. I was going to be a success or I was going to die. The whole get rich and die trying, like 50 Cent. It was literally that. I was going to get. I always knew I'd be wealthy. And I thought, I will actually die for this. I'll die on this hill if I don't get there. So when I was younger, I'm obsessed. Now I think I actually got tested for ADHD recently because I just thought, I've got to have something wrong with me because it's like, I'm not doing this out of choice. And it turns out I haven't got ADHD, which I was shocked by. I was like convinced I had ADHD, but I haven't got it, which is strange. I've got a lot of the traits, but I'm not actually like genetically, clinically like ADHD. But my brain is wired in a certain way, and I'm passionate about business. I can talk about business all day. My brain works in that way. I think I'm very stoic. I'm very logical. And I just love it. I read books about it. I'm obsessed with new things. I'm definitely an addict. Like, whether it's a good thing or bad thing in life, I will get, in the last podcast I was saying, I've had to stop wearing my health watch because I just get obsessed with the data. I'm like, my resting heart rate's gone from 43 to 44. What's wrong? Is it? I actually gave myself a panic attack and had to ring 911 or 111, whatever it is. Yeah. I'm just.
Where did that come from? Do you think
the panic attack or?
No. I mean, everyday life. Yeah. No, like these behaviours, like you said, it's not normal. And I feel like I'm equally on that very same trajectory in that I've always wanted to succeed. I've always wanted to win. I've always wanted to be better at something, But there was never really a true understanding why. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
I don't know, and it's definitely a question I've asked a lot. But if you look at all your friends and my friends who are in this same circle, we're all the same, right? We go when I go into a different group of friends or a different group of family, and I'm in that conversation of what would be a normal conversation, I'm like, I don't fit in here. I've got nothing to say. I feel really uncomfortable, really awkward. Whereas when I'm in my little group of friends, we have a monthly board meeting on the board on Property Entrepreneur, and there's 15 of us in this whiskey room at the Belfry Golf and Spa Resort, and you can't hear each other speak. For the conversation's like, and it's like everyone's talking about the meaning of life, development, raising finance, scaling, problems, HR issues, hiring, firing. And I think like if you're wired that way, that's just the life we choose to lead, right? In the same way that other people choose to lead their life with whatever they want. I just think I think it's different, but I don't think it's any better. I don't think it's any worse. I just think it's our lane, right? And a lot of people look at us and like my missus, she's the complete opposite to me. She couldn't think of anything worse than living my lifestyle. Like, I'm busy. I'm always taking on new challenges. I'm like up against it. Whatever it is I do. It could be fitness, it could be deals, it could be property.
Would you say you're similar to your dad? Because obviously he was professional, he's from that remit.
Yeah, probably in the fact that we were very active brains, all about business, all about work, plans, projects, very intentional. Got somewhere to be. Don't know where it is or where we're going, but we've got somewhere to be and we're going there, and this is that and this is this. Quite serious, I suppose, but it's not serious in like an intense way. It's serious in like we take it seriously.
I'm just focused. I'm going for it. I
think so, yeah. Whether I'm doing a weight cut or a bulk or growing a company or doing a deal, I suppose everyone likes stimulation. There's lots of things that everyone likes, but everyone likes stimulation. Some people like to eat. Other people like to watch telly. Some people like social media. I like to think. I like my brain to do stuff. I like to read a chapter of a book and then think about it. I like to come up with a problem and solve it. I like to create stuff. I like to create something out of nothing. So I don't know what it is. I just think it's the way we are. In the same way as my missus likes to chill out. She likes to relax. She likes to.
It blows my mind when people just want to just relax and do nothing. I get bored. I'm that guy with the itch feet. I'll click with. I don't know. I can't. You know, you go on holiday and I'll just like sit on a lounger. I will persevere for like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
I'm like, right, I'm bored. What we're doing. You know what I mean? It's so bizarre. So I'm going to take it back again. You've done your uni. You've graduated. You still had several jobs. What happened there? How did you get into business as such? Because I know you had a couple operational at that time, but they weren't multi-million pound business overnight, were they? You had to build that. What happened?
So I had the mobile disco company from 14, 15, and that was like weddings, school proms, stuff like that, birthday parties. I did that, and then went on the buildings, and that was basically my business. I was just self-employed, labourer, trade, hod carrier, floor screeder, did that. Then I went to university and in the first year started an events company. So we used to take buses of students to Amsterdam 2 or 3 times a year. So we just sell 60 places, drive a bus down on the ferry over to Amsterdam, basically just for a bender for 3 days. Did that for 3 years. Started a clothing company at university. So basically the normal sort of just you spot something that's obvious. At Nottingham, Trent University, where I went, the Nottingham Law School had a hoodie that said Nottingham Law School, but none of the other schools had it. And I was like, well, the business school surely want one. So I did a business school one, and then I did one for all the other schools, and then I had an exclusive license to do that brand. And then I took over the shops on campus. Then I expanded to like Coventry and Bournemouth and London Metropolitan. And then we sold online. Then we started doing graduation stuff. So if you bought a graduation hoodie or bear or tube or whatever, they came from us at the universities that we were at. Did that, and then we did our first 100k that we made was 15 years ago last month, because we had a party called the 100k party, and somebody sent me a screenshot from Facebook last month. So 15 years ago we were making 100k a year. That was like what we were making, and then ran that for a few years, sold that in 2012. There were some other companies we had as well. I had a graphic design company called Pulse Studios. Had all sorts of bits and pieces. And then in 2011 was when we took a big step change. So I exited all of that company, won Young Entrepreneur of the Year, decided I wanted to do the next level, went into property. And then from 2011 up to now, we built PPN. So that's 15 years this year. And that's where it went from sort of millions to like millions of revenue to like multi-millions. And then now... We scaled up to 8 offices, head office in Nottingham, 8 offices around the UK, 40 team members, but it wasn't fun. It wasn't lucrative. It was a headache. And then I sold that in 2020 in the pandemic. And then since then, I've just had I've still got bigger businesses, but they're run by their own directors. I'm just a chairman now. And I run really our family office, which has got just a team of like 3 senior team members who run the business, and they've all got assistants. And then I'm the chairman over that. But then, yeah, we do deals. We still make like £3 to £5 million a year, like net, between the equity and the cash flow. And I would say for me, it's the sweet spot. I enjoy it, but I'm not on the end of the phone. You know, I've been in the studio all day. I'm not in meetings. I don't have any direct reports. I don't have any weekly one-to-ones. I have a monthly meeting with 3 people. I have a fortnightly meeting with 2 people, and that's it. Outside of that, I just do my own thing on my own time. I'm busy all day, every day. The idea of like putting your feet up and, you know, drinking pina coladas, that novelty wears off. I tried retirement 3 times and it was just a waste of time.
Well, what is retirement?
Well, I just burn myself out. That's the problem. I'll burn myself out. I'll get a taste of something and I'll just go completely overkill. And then I'll burn myself to crisp. Like, I'm never doing this again. I'm selling the business. I'm sacking it all off. And then I'll have a week off and I'll go back to it and I'll be back at it again. So I don't know what retirement is. Warren Buffett says he'll retire 5 years after he dies. I think I'll probably be the same. Now for me, I'm busy all day, every day, but it's like I'll get up early and I'll do my spirituality reading and stuff like that. And then I'll look after my daughter when she gets up for a couple of hours until I go to work. And then like I walk up to the local bar and have breakfast there. Then I might go to the gym and work out. Then I'll go for a massage. Maybe take a phone call or do some stuff on WhatsApp. I do a bit of everything, but there's never a dull moment. I'm never twiddling my thumbs.
Yeah, I don't believe in sitting still. You're just active, but it's on your terms.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's freedom of choice and location. Yeah. If I want to get on a plane to Dubai tomorrow, I want to be able to do that. Not I can't go for 4 weeks because I'm
busy, I'm otherwise occupied and whatnot.
Exactly.
So obviously you got to a point, let's get into now your family. So you've done uni, you've launched this, like you said, this entrepreneur's journey, and you've got several businesses going. Some going great, some just had enough of been them off, whatever. What age did you feel like I want a partner?
To be honest, partners in like relationship or partners in business?
No, relationship now, because this is, I mean, look.
Oh mate, this is a story. Is that the question?
Yeah.
So I never ever thought about relationships or really settling down for 10 years, and I would just date people. I would date someone for a little while, have a great relationship, lots of fun at the weekends, but it was very like relaxed, very low pressure. It might have been a formal boyfriend girlfriend, but it was, to me, it was always work first, and it was quite sort of fluid, I would say, for want of a better word. I would just sort of go through the gears. And at 26, a friend of mine called, I won't say his surname, Jamie, who was a professional pull artist, you know, like the game. He was like, I would say, like, to use his own words, reasonably average looking guy, but he could pull anyone. Like, have you read the game? He talks about like pulling,
yeah.
I forget who the woman is in it, but like, Paris Hilton. Like this guy who's like a 4, and she must be like, in some people's eyes, an 11. And he just went up and pulled her in a kebab shop or something. My friend was like all into that stuff. And he observed my life, which was just very relaxed. I was just meeting normally partners who would be in friendship or family groups. That's normally how I met people, because I was so obsessed with work. And he said, if you're not dating someone with the intention of settling down and having kids by the age of 26, or from the age of 26, you're wasting your time. And I actually that year was turning 26. So I went from being completely unfocused on my relationship to becoming completely obsessed with the fact that the clock was now against me, and I needed to find a wife, a parent, a mother, etc. And I basically treated it the way I would business or recruitment, and just went on a recruitment trail to find the perfect partner who would be a great wife, great mother. Everyone loved them, etc. And I did exactly that. I found the most amazing woman, salt of the earth, ticked every single box. And for 5 years we were together, and it was great, and it fitted in with whatever. And then we got married, and then before I was getting married, I had like cold feet. And I said to her, like, I'm having cold feet. And she said, well, if you want to pull out, and it was actually my groom speech, I said about having these cold feet. Because I'd never really thought about the reality of getting married. And it wasn't until like 6 months before I got married, I was thinking, wow, this is actually quite serious. I just thought of it as ticking boxes sort of thing. And yeah, anyway, we got married, and then pretty quickly afterwards, I realised through absolutely no fault of her own, I'd made a bad decision. And that was the beginning of my like emotional downfall, I think. That was like 2018. And from there, I realised I made a bad decision, hurt somebody who was like honestly like the nicest person you could ever meet through no fault of their own. And then for about probably 2 years, I had some sort of breakdown, completely burnt out. I just threw myself into work. I bought 5 companies. I broke 2 world records. I bought 3 businesses. I went and did loads of development. I just went crazy. And I was literally a mess, like emotionally, physically, mentally. I was just I was not suicidal. I've never been suicidal. But I had what's called, I think it's called dehumanization or depersonalization, where it basically means I would be driving down the road and I think, do you know what? If my car got taken off the road now and I died, I really wouldn't care. Not suicidal, but I was just surplus to requirements, if you know what I mean.
Was you just laser focused on just doing stuff to keep yourself busy for the sake of being busy then?
I think it was a combination of I was really not proud of myself. Like I went through a period.
What was it? What mistake did you make?
That I chose to partner with somebody based on ticking boxes, like rather than choose, because we were married for like 3 months and then we got divorced, and I just never ever thought of myself as somebody that would get divorced. I've prided myself on being a good person, doing the right thing.
Well, what was it then?
I just realised that I'd made a functional decision that should have been an emotional one, and what on paper looked like a great thing to do with the perfect person. To me, emotionally, I didn't connect with it. And
was you in love with her?
I loved her like anything, but I would say the bit that I struggled with was I didn't know at the time what in love with anything felt. I just was very stoic, very logical, very robotic. And when I realised that, because I am very stoic, I can often, where I do mishit it, is because I treat an everything like a logical conversation. And the more I've learned in recent years since having a daughter and going through pregnancy and postpartum and understanding the difference between the masculine and the feminine, the men and the women, the logic and the emotion, I understand, they don't always go together very well. And it was just a real shortcoming on my part. I thought everything was logic, everything was maths, everything was binary. And then when I realised that wasn't the case and actually I'd made the wrong decision, I decided to then undo it and get divorced. And that was like, for somebody that I pride myself on adding value to other people and being a good person and never hurting anyone, to actually do that was like, I felt guilty, I was ashamed, I was appalled at my behaviour. And it just made me, I was just ashamed of who I was. I didn't speak to my friends for like 3 years. I just completely disappeared off the radar. And I just hid behind the scenes and like drank and just I did a weight cut. I went down to like single digit. I did like body fat. I was literally like in a hole. And that probably took me, so that was probably 2018. I was in that hole for like 2 years, 3 years.
COVID as well.
Yeah, and I probably then started coming out of it into recovery in like 2020, 2021. And then I would say ever since then, I've slowly got better with managing the balance of it all, really.
Was it more understanding the external factors, not necessarily just yourself?
Honestly, mate, it's like such a huge topic. That one of the big things was like we talked about the anticlimax of winning an award. Was like I lived my life from the age of about 14, 15 to 25. So that's 10 years, which in the scheme of things when you're 40 is not a lot of time. But when you're 25, that's your whole adult life, right?
All of it.
All of it. Climbing this mountain. And I finally got to the top where I won the awards. I had the money. I could do whatever I wanted. And I felt absolutely no different. I thought that was going to solve all my problems. And I actually had, I forget what I read recently. There is a condition. In fact, the Apollo syndrome is one of the things where the people who went to the moon, live stream, world's ambition. And on the way back, when they all come back, they were all drug addicts, alcoholics. I think one of them killed themselves. Because like when you've been there and had the most amazing thing ever, what do you then do with your life afterwards? And I was like, it was this complete false dawn. I thought it was going to be phenomenal, and it wasn't. And it really did throw me into a hole. Like, I really thought it was going to make me happy, and it didn't. And it was like, that was that plus my divorce plus burnout plus all sorts of stuff, all of that into a pot. I just got lost for a couple of years at the top of the mountain, and then I started to come back out of it, I think.
What was it that got you out of it? Was there one significant thing, or was it just a bit of time?
Yeah, time. I think I've got so many of my friends at the minute, and again, ever the optimist, I'm grateful that I have come out of that and experienced what life's like on the other side and been able to rebuild my life and sort of have another go at it. Some people live their lives in a burnt out position or with bad mental health or whatever and never actually get out of it. I've got friends now who are getting divorced in their like 40s and 50s, and seeing them go through it like now, I mean, divorce is like a part of it, but seeing them go through that process now, like all I've said to them, and my business partner was one of them, all I can say to them is like, I don't know if it was going to take like a year or like 5 years, but all I can say is as long as you get through it, it will be okay on the other side. But to see how bad a state they get in, and I think it, without going too like deep on the mental health stuff, because obviously it's a big topic that everyone talks about, and you know everyone's got their own view on it. The whole male mental health thing is like, with stuff like that, I don't know why they find it so much more difficult. But there's been a couple of friends I've really had to like pull out of holes to stop themselves going the wrong way. And I have lost some friends as well through that sort of process. Not always through like relationships or business, but through like drugs and abuse and stuff like that. And, you know, it's a delicate situation.
Do you think it's helped you, because you experienced it, be able to identify when you see it in other people's lives to pull them back?
100%. Like, other people will laugh. Like I'll see people laugh. They'll observe other people who are doing silly things like getting blind drunk or being reckless, out of shape, a mess. And their standards have just gone from a 10 to a 2. And some people will like make joke of it, make light of it and laugh about it. I'm like, do you know what? That's somebody who's in a really bad position. And I can see it. And then I try and put myself in a position to be able to broach it and create a safe space and do that. Other times, did you ever see that football advert about mental health where there's like the guy that's real miserable and the guy that's like, yeah.
Two in the stands, yeah.
And there's the two people are sitting in the stands. It's like you never know what mental health looks like, and you assume it's going to be the miserable guy. One. And then, yeah, it's like very, very powerful. And I think that as well, like some of my friends that I've lost, you sort of, in hindsight, knew there was a problem, but you never knew it was that. If anyone knew it was that bad, it probably would have been prevented.
A lot of the time, you hear a lot of people say, God, you'd have never known.
Yeah, 100%. I don't think anyone would have... At the time when I was at my lowest, people would have thought I was at my highest. I was buying companies, doing developments.
You were busy.
Doing a photo shoot. You know, I was in the
what were you like?
Shape of my life.
Happy? Like externally, was you smiley?
I'm just quite an intense person. Like, I try and be relaxed and stuff. I just am quite an intense person. Like, I am just quite intense.
So no one would have known? Looking back at yourself, and be honest, was you displaying any behaviour that was now detectable and what you can see, I was not right. I was doing things visibly.
Really good question. I mean, I would say it's got all the classic traits of it, but it was well covered up because, like doing a weight cut, when you're in like less than 10% body fat, it's not uncommon not to sleep, right? Like when you're lean as anything and your body's basically in starvation, it's not uncommon to not sleep or to have high energy and stuff like that. And when you are buying literally 3 businesses and doing multi-million-pound developments and delivering 4 training events a month, it's not uncommon to be a bit tired or burnt out. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think my friends and family would have a better idea. I think I've actually been more outwardly, because I was in good shape, I've been more outwardly a mess in years before that, where I've been burnt out and I would be overweight or over drinking or I'd be flush. And it was more obvious that I was maybe on self-destruct and people would know that, but it was quite contained to stress or whatever.
Have you got that sort of like, I call it a war room. Have you got that bit of a war room around you where people will say, hey Dan, you're right?
Mate, do you know what? Like, that is a fantastic question. And I say that a lot. I'll see my friends who haven't had a shave or aren't well groomed, and I'll jump on it straight away and be like, look, you're missing the basics. And they'll be like, yeah, I've been overworking, haven't been sleeping, not been getting my steps in. Do you know what? I don't know is the honest answer. Because I would say I'm the leader, and even if people saw it, I don't know if they'd, which is not a good thing, I don't know if they'd feel comfortable to say it. Do you know what? I honestly don't know when I look back. And I think, do you know what? The sad thing is, I think some of it's, at that time, we used to like actively encourage some of that behaviour. Like we call it beast mode. We would like wear it as a badge of honour. Yeah, I started at 4 a.m, didn't finish till 10 p.m, didn't even take a break. And we sort of celebrate it. I don't know, it's a really good question. Have I got that war room? I've got very close friends. I talk quite transparently. So like, I've got friends and we'll have very transparent conversations about everything. Our relationship, parenthood, business. And I will speak very openly in good company with a very small, maybe less than 5 people.
Yeah.
So in fact, we was at the pub on last Friday and there was about 8 of us and we're all developers, contractors, investors, house builders. And we was all like, one person was chatting about the problem with their tanking, another one was chatting about issues with legals, so another one's got a fight. And I said, do you know what? This is like therapy for developers. I was like, hi, my name's Dan, I've got a problem with completion. It's like, we had this like group of friends where you just openly talk. And I think that's quite cathartic. But yeah, so yeah, I don't know if that answers the question.
It's a difficult one because the people that are around you, not including the close circle there, you've got your 4 or 5, would you feel comfortable if they did approach you?
Oh, 100%. We advocate like a feedback loop. And I love it when people I treat it like a gift. And even if I don't agree with it, and inside it's turning my stomach and like kicking me in the ghoulies to hear them say something. And it hurt. The stuff that hurts is true, right? Like that's what the best stuff hurts because it's true. And I always thank it and like I really appreciate it because it is a gift, because it's very hard to give someone feedback, especially if it's good feedback. But yeah, I'd be very grateful.
It's the people that are watching you are looking up to you, like you were to the guy who you wanted to aspire to be. People looking up to you going, wow, I want to be that guy. You know, if there was ever a fringe, because people who want to aspire to be you watch you closer than you watch yourself. And if they ever see a fringe, you know, like I said, misshaved it or whatever it may well be, that's more colossal for them. But if they don't know that they can actually approach you and be like, hey, is everything all right? I suppose as a man, traditionally, the quick response is yes, sound.
I mean, I always say that. And actually, I got feedback this year of someone saying, yeah, you always just say everything's good. My big thing is, like, how is it? I'm like, oh, it's better than it's ever been. And like, the other thing is, though, I actually genuinely believe that. When something's great, I think because I'm an optimist and I've got a degree of short-term, like not memory, but I can pick stuff up and put it down quite quickly. Yeah. I'm not like hugely attached to stuff. And if I have had a rough period and then it's all gone good all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, this is amazing. Like I'm sort of, yeah, it's great. But yeah, I forget where I was going with that. But what was we saying about?
Well, ultimately, it's about...
Oh yeah, sorry, I was going to remember what I was going to say. Elon Musk used to be one of my heroes, and I used to admire him for the fact that he was suffering. And I remember saying to Adam, who runs Property Entrepreneur, like, Elon Musk's my hero this year because we choose a hero every year. And he said, why would you? Because Adam lives on a desert island. He works in his terms. He has none of this like work ethic, stigma, I need to be busy, that this chap we have. He's the other side of the spectrum where he's like, I'll do what I want when I want. He delivers, but he like puts himself first. You know, he knows what he's doing. And fair play to him. I wish I had more of that. But he's like, why would you want to be Elon Musk? Like, that guy's not living. He's just suffering. And I thought, do you know what? I am just suffering. I'm living my life suffering. But I was taking pride in it. And I think a lot of high performers do. I think really, if you want to be a high performer, whether it's the swimmers, the athletes, the footballers, the business people, it takes a high degree of discipline and sacrifice and suffering to get there, right? So it's actually a game of who can suffer the most and put up for it the longest to get the highest. So it's not like... It's just what comes with the territory without agreeing to it.
I recently spoke to Damien Hughes on the High Performer podcast, and I generally asked him the question. I says, look, you know, what's one of the biggest attributes that a lot of high performers have? And he paused to answer the question. He says, there's obvious answers to this. It's the one that's probably most unobvious, but it's the clear winner, is that they are just so like obsessed at getting the small things right and focused on just repetition, and they get obsessed over it. And when you start and think, I suppose looking at this is a bit weird, but like going back to success, if you start and see something that works and you keep going work, it's working. Do you ever pause to stop and go, I'll do something different? Why would you do that if it's working? You're enjoying it.
And I do love it. I the fact that it's painful, like even when I was doing my work, like there's a degree of masochistic enjoyment from that. Not that I prescribe to it now, but I can see how seductive it is. It's adrenaline, right? It's adrenaline, it's cortisol, it's stress. And like when you get on that flywheel of like, bang, tick off the list, got that done. I could easily, I mean, this week we've got our super event and I'm completing on a deal or 2 deals, and we've got our charity, we had our charity event at the weekend, and we've got our charity grand finale dinner on Friday. This is like peak week of the year for me. And I've decided to do 2 podcasts today. I did one yesterday.
Grateful for you.
Yeah.
That's massive.
So I'm like having a week, which I haven't had for a while, of like bang, 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 bang. And I'm actually loving it, if I'm honest. But the problem is, if I didn't stop, I'm going on holiday on Saturday, and like next week I'll just be off the grid again. If I didn't stop, I would be
burnout.
Before I know it would be December, and I'd be burnt to a crisp. My missus would be moved out. Like, not that happens, but to dramatise it, I would lose sight of it.
Yeah.
I'm just an extremist in everything I do, good and bad. So it's like, it's not that I don't enjoy it. I love it, but it's not always good for me.
No, I do. I get that. All right. So, what is next? What's your big goal right now? Because you've been there, got a T-shirt, you got all the accolades, all the awards. You've literally lived life time and time again and been successful, and you've found happiness. You've also, I think you've been. It's really, really nice to see someone genuinely say, "I got it wrong, and I made them unhappy," and kudos to you for that, because not many people have the balls to admit that. That's really nice to hear. But you've done that. You got another T-shirt, everything. What's next?
I think so. On Property Entrepreneur, every year we create a thing called a year of. So at one point, my year of was year of beast mode. So it's like how much. That was like 2018. How much can I do in a year? Like literally, if I go all in, wake up, buy companies, do developments, scale Property Entrepreneur from 15 people to 120 people, whatever it was, all in. It was just a year of leveling up. This year is year of the sweet spot. And this is really what I'm trying to crack. And I am visibly getting better at it. And it's taken me probably 2 years. Last year was year of the middle lane. I had year of the middle lane. Last year was year of living the dream. This year is year of the sweet spot. I just really want to get, and I'm definitely, if I want to get to a 10, I'm definitely a 6 or a 7 at the minute. I'm well on my way to just living life in a sweet spot. Like I can have a week like this. Something go on a stag do.
Yeah.
Go on a stag do on a bender for 3 days. But then come back and get back in shape and balance the books. Don't use it as an excuse to get fat and start drinking every night and let things get out of control. Yeah. So for me, it's like sweet spot. It's like I'll have this week, but I already know, so I don't burn myself out. Like tomorrow, I'm off all day. I'm going for lunch with my brother. I'm getting a massage. I'm going to see my tailor, get my suit. Just a real chill day, relaxed, because I know I've got 2 big days. Whereas before, I would have done
frantic.
I would have done 8 days. Walking through the night on Saturday, burn myself to a crisp. So what's next for me is like the sweet spot, and it's just the sweet spot of everything. I don't want to go crazy growing any businesses. I don't want to go crazy doing big deals. I've got my deals done for the year pretty much. So it's just sweet spot.
Love that.
And just get back to my spirituality. I fell off my spirituality for the last 2 years, just because I've been enjoying myself and just not needed it. Whereas now I really want to go back to it because I've lost my way a little bit.
So obviously coming to end the podcast, but before we touch onto the end, how old's your daughter? 2?
Yeah, she's 2 on Saturday.
Have you just got the one? So, 2 on Saturday, wow.
Yeah.
Saturday just gone?
Saturday coming.
Oh, wow. So you've got one hell of a busy week.
Sunday coming. Sunday coming.
So you've actually... That's
not forgot about birthday. Yeah.
But to be fair, the sweet spot seems quite relevant because this is such an important time in your daughter's life. So thinking how you were as a son to your mum and dad, your daughter's going to be on that new journey, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed. Wow, this is life. Look at my dad, look at my mum. Mum's chill, assuming?
Crazy chill.
Crazy chill. And you're like a wasp, a busy bee, you're all there doing everything. So your daughter's looking at you with a fresh pair of lens. How now is your time with your family compared to what it were when you was that little boy with mum and dad?
Really good question. My memories are quite limited of obviously at 2 years old, that's like really young. I think one of the things they say about parents is you either want to mirror exactly what your parents were like, or you want to do the opposite and be exactly what they weren't. Mine's like a perfect mix of the two. Like, I'm the best part of my mum and the best part of my dad, I would say, in my eyes, and that is like quite a combination. It works. It is a sweet spot. And I've had the freedom and luxury to spend loads of time with Harper, my daughter. Like, I have her every other morning. I have her every other evening. Sav and I have family time at the weekends. We also have our own quality time with her. We've got ducks and chickens. So she's now started collecting eggs, and she's got a little honesty box called Harper's Farm. And it says like eggs laid with love. So she like collects the eggs, washes them, puts them in the box. She then like puts them out, and the neighbours come by them. She goes with her little Peppa Pig money box and takes the money out the next day and puts it in. Like, all that sort of stuff, I just think it's enjoyable and it's wholesome for me, but it's nice to see her growing, and it's phenomenal having a child. And yeah, have you got kids?
Yeah, 2 boys.
Have you? What age are they?
Harley's 14. Wow, I mean, he's taller. He's a beast now. He's into rugby. And our Evan, he's 10. Wow.
Yeah.
If you've got the pleasure to meet them, wow. From 2-year-old, you don't envision them to be anything what they become.
Really?
Oh, wow. I mean, I've got chalk and cheese. Our Harley is, he's built, he's very muscular. We was in the gym last night, and he's loving it. He's all about, I want to be professional rugby. So he's just got a potential scholarship with Leeds Rhinos. Only 14, just turned on Saturday.
Yeah.
And, he's loving it. He goes to school, and I'd say above average student kind of thing, but he's loving life. He's living the best life, and he's very polite, loves it. And then our Evan, in his own weird way, he's on his revvy, his bike. He don't want to school. He just sees his mates. He wants to go fishing. He wants to do this. He's active. He is going to be a beast in whatever he applies himself.
Do you think it's nature or nurture?
Well, the two are polar opposites. I think our Evan, he's wild. I mean, we say play football because you're really good, but he's like, I just want to go on my motorbike, and it's like, what? I don't. It's so bizarre. But it's as if he's really in control of his own life. But yet he has not looked at me and I've influenced him, whereas maybe our Harley's looked at me and what we're doing and I've influenced him. Our Evan couldn't care less on what's in front of him. He's just got a plan for himself. He's only 10.
Fair play.
It's absolutely bizarre. But it's strange because as a parent, as a dad, you kind of want to provide the safest, most loving household. But when you're active and you're busy, there are some sacrifices, like you said. So I'm very cautious on my actions and what they are learning more about me and our family on my actions, be it I'm present or not. And I'm aware that will affect them one way or another. But hence why I wanted to know about your daughter Harper. What life... It's a difficult question to ask. I think I know what you're going to say, but if you could imagine her living any kind of life, what would that look like from your perspective? Yeah.
I think now I know... Now I'm old and wise and know what the journey was like for my dad and what my mum's true opinions are. I think now you actually realise as a parent, you just want them to be healthy and happy. I know it sounds like trite or like cliche, but you just want them to be healthy and happy. I want to provide her opportunities, but I don't want to give her anything. That's one of the reasons I started the family office, is like, I want there to be an opportunity there if she wants to explore it, but I equally don't want her to be obliged to do it. And equally, I'm not going to give her... This question of like, what do you give your kids? Warren Buffett, I think, has got it best. He says, I want to give them enough that they can do anything they want, but not too much not so much that they do nothing. And I think that's like, nobody knows the answer to that question, do they? Like, what's right and what's wrong. I don't know. I think I would, whatever she does, I want it to be purposeful. I think life is a gift. Every day I just think I want to make the most out of every day, and it's just in me. I just can't not be busy. I'm happy mowing the lawn. Well, I don't really mow the lawn so much, but I'm happy going out and doing the chickens. I'm happy cleaning the chickens out. I'm happy doing the washing up. Genuinely, I could be happy doing anything. And I just want her to maybe be intentional and purposeful and do whatever she finds passionate. I do think we're all... I was wired to be an entrepreneur. I was an entrepreneur at like 3 years old. Christmas Day, all the kids were playing with the toys. I was in the box, taking money in one end and putting Quality Street out the other end. It's just in my blood. It's just been there. And I think if you can find that thing, that's a gift.
Yeah.
And I think some people never find it.
I love that. So I end our Raw Ambition podcasts with a pay it forward.
Cool.
So we never reveal the gifts, but you'll receive a gift.
Okay.
From one of our previous guests.
Wow.
You won't know who it is.
Yeah.
Hopefully there's no clues onto who it will have been that gave you the gift. But then equally, if you can also pay a gift forward. So I don't want you to think about anything today or anything like that. It's absolutely no stress, no pressure. But the where it comes from is what you believe got you from where it was to where you were or where you're going to be, whatever. I'll give you some examples. Some people have done a book. Some people have done, believe it or not, a skydive. And the meaning behind the skydive was just fucking do it. Just take the jump.
Have you done a skydive?
I've not done a skydive yet.
Would you do one?
Yeah, it's on my...
Is it? Oh my God, I don't think I could do one.
It's on my bucket list.
Let's hope it's not a skydive.
But yeah, so there's loads. One of them, I think this one's incredible, to be fair. And it was a one-to-one with a personal brand specialist who's done a lot of celebrities. So spent a bit of time with them. So the gifts have ranged from, like I said, a book. Terry Harper, the female world champion boxer, she gave probably it wasn't anything of massive monetary value, but in terms of value for convenience, you know when you're reading a book on holiday and you sat there and you've got reading a book, you've got your hand in that kind of awkward position, but pages fold. Well, she had this contraption that held the pages open whilst you read. And so for her, being a high-performing world champion boxer, that one less stress of the pages folding in, so she allowed her to read a book, took that whole convenience factor to another level.
Amazing. Yeah,
so she was like, I'm paying that forward. But no, there is no pressure. But I want you to think it's a pay it forward. You'll receive something, and if you can do the honours and pay forward to whoever it may be, and it doesn't always go in order. So you can't follow guest episodes, so you can't guess who it is.
Sam, got it. I like it, 100%.
All right, well, Dan, honestly, it's been a genuine pleasure you coming on today. I know you've got a busy week, but thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, mate.
All right, cheers.
Yeah, banging.
Enjoy that.
Yeah.